The research ship Horizon's Edge moved slowly through the dark space near the Kepler system. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching the stars through the large window. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. Behind him, 42 other people worked at their stations. They were scientists, engineers, and security guards who had come to explore the far edges of space. Dr. Lisa Carter walked up to Jake with a datapad in her hands. She was the ship's best scientist, always careful about everything they found. Her blonde hair was pulled back tight, and she looked worried. "Commander, we found something strange on the third moon," she said. "The scans show buildings that are very old, much older than anything we have seen before." Jake took the datapad and looked at the pictures. The structures were made of a dark metal that seemed to shine with its own light. They were built in shapes that hurt to look at, like they were not made by any normal mind. "How old?" Jake asked. "Maybe 10,000 years? Maybe more," Lisa said. "The metal is something we have never seen. It does not match anything in our databases." Ryan Blake, the security chief, came over to them. He was a big man with scars on his face from old battles. He did not trust anything they could not explain. "I don't like this," Ryan said. "We should call Earth and ask for backup before we go down there." Jake shook his head. "We are explorers. This is what we came to do, but we will be careful. Take a small team and set up a safe area first." 2 hours. Later, Jake, Lisa, and 6 others landed on the moon's surface. The gravity was light, making each step bounce a little. The ancient buildings stood before them like sleeping giants. Up close, they could see that the metal walls had strange symbols carved into them. "Wow. The air is safe to breathe," said Tom, one of the engineers, "but the energy readings are off the charts. Something is still powered inside these buildings." They walked through an opening that was shaped like a triangle. Inside, the walls glowed with a soft blue light. The corridors were wide enough for very large beings to walk through. Everything was too big for normal humans. "Whatever built this was much bigger than us," Lisa whispered. They found a central room with a tall pillar in the middle. The pillar was covered in symbols that seemed to move when they looked at them. Jake reached out to touch it, but Lisa grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "Let me scan it first," but it was too late. Jake's hand touched the cold metal, and the pillar began to glow brighter. The symbols started spinning around it like a tornado. Of light, a deep sound filled the air, like a giant bell ringing. "What did you do?" Ryan shouted, pulling out his weapon. "I don't know," Jake said, stepping back. "It just activated when I touched it." The pillar sent out a beam of light that shot up through the ceiling and into space. The beam was so bright it could be seen from orbit. On the ship above, the crew watched in fear as the light reached out into the darkness between stars. "Commander, you need to get back here now," came the voice of the ship's captain over the radio. "That beam is sending some kind of signal into deep space." They ran back to their shuttle and lifted off as fast as they could, but the damage was done. The signal had been sent, and somewhere in the vast darkness of space, something had heard. It far away beyond the edge of the galaxy, an ancient ship floated in the void. It was a massive vessel built for one purpose: hunting. Inside the ship, a creature stirred from its long sleep. Vexstar was 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor that looked like black scales. Its eyes were yellow and cold, like those of a snake. He had been sleeping for 50 years, waiting for the right signal. The beacon from the human ship reached his vessel, and the ship's computers woke him up. Vexstar stretched his long arms and smiled, showing teeth that could tear through metal. The signal told him everything he needed to know. A new species had found one of the old hunting beacons. It was time for another hunt. Vexstar belonged to a race called the Kethmori. They were the greatest hunters in the galaxy, and they had been hunting for thousands of years. They traveled from world to world, looking for species that might give them a good fight. Most species were too weak and died too quickly. But sometimes, they found prey that was worth the effort. The signal from the human ship told him that these creatures were curious and brave enough to explore dangerous places. That was a good sign. Brave prey made the best trophies. Vexstar walked through his ship, waking up his hunting pack. There were 12 other Kethmori on the ship, all of them skilled killers. They had hunted together for centuries, taking trophies from dozens of worlds. "What have you found for us, Vexter?" asked Crix, his second in command. She was smaller than him but twice as fast, with claws that could cut through steel. "A new species," Vexter said. "They call themselves humans. They found one of our beacons and activated it. The signal shows they have basic space travel but no real weapons. They should provide some entertainment." The hunting ship changed course and began moving toward the Kepler system. It would take several days to reach the human ship, but Vexstar was patient. Good hunts were worth waiting for. Back on the horizon's edge, Jake tried to explain what had happened to his crew. They'd studied the signal and found that it was not random. It was clearly a message sent to someone or something far away. "We need to leave," Ryan said for the 10th time. "Whatever that signal called, we don't want to meet it." "Can't leave yet," Lisa argued. "This is the greatest discovery in human history. We need to study it more." Jake stood between them, trying to keep the peace. But deep down, he agreed with Ryan. Something felt wrong about the whole situation. The beacon had been too easy to activate, like it was meant to be found. "We will study it from a safe distance," Jake decided. "Move the ship back to the edge of the system. If anything comes looking for us, we will have time to escape." But as they prepared to leave, their sensors picked up something moving toward them from deep space. It was still far away, but it was big and moving fast. "It's too fast for any natural object," Commander said, the sensor operator. "Whatever is coming toward us, it will be here in 3 days." Jake felt his blood turn cold. 3 days was not enough. Time to get back to Earth, or even to the nearest human colony. They were trapped, and something was coming for them in his private quarters. Jake opened a communication channel to Earth. The message would take weeks to reach home, but he had to try. "This is Commander Jake Morrison of the Horizon's Edge. We have made contact with alien technology and may have triggered some kind of response. If you don't hear from us again, avoid the Kepler system. Whatever's coming for us, it's not friendly." He closed the channel and sat back in his chair. Outside his window, the stars looked the same as always. But Jake knew that somewhere out there, death was coming for him and his crew. And there was nowhere to run. The hunt was about to begin. 50 years had passed since the Horizon's Edge disappeared in the Kepler system. On Earth, everything had changed. The 3 survivors who escaped in emergency pods had brought back a terrible story. They told of alien hunters who killed 4 sport creatures that saw humans as nothing more than prey to be collected. Director Alex Kane stood in the command center of the Terran Defense Initiative, looking at the massive screens that showed Earth's new defenses. He was a hard man with steel-gray eyes and hands that never stopped moving. The weight of protecting humanity rested on his shoulders. "Report," Alex said to the woman beside him. Dr. Maya Singh was the smartest person Alex had ever met. She worked day and night to make humans stronger, faster, and better able to survive. Her dark hair was streaked with gray from years of stress, but her mind was sharper than ever. "The enhancement program is ahead of schedule," Maya said, reading from her tablet. "We have successfully modified the genetics of over 2 million volunteers. Their strength is 3 times normal human levels. Reflexes are twice as fast. And their healing ability is remarkable." Alex nodded. "What about the cybernetic program?" "Even better results," Maya smiled. "The new implants let soldiers think as fast as computers. They can process battle information in seconds that would take normal humans minutes to understand. The connection between brain and machine is almost perfect now." Behind them, General Ben Cooper walked up with a group of officers. Ben was old-school military, a man who believed in preparation and hard training. He'd been working for 50 years to turn Earth into a fortress that could defend itself. "The fleet is ready for testing," Ben announced. "We have built 300 warships using technology we learned from the alien wreckage. Each ship has weapons that can destroy anything we have ever seen." Alex walked to the main screen and activated it. The image showed Earth from space, but it looked nothing like the peaceful blue planet from old pictures. Now it was surrounded by rings of defense stations, weapon platforms, and automated guard ships. The moon had been turned into a military base with enough weapons to destroy entire fleets. 50 years ago, we were helpless, Alex said to his team. 3 people survived out of 43. The aliens played with our people like cats play with mice. It will never happen again. In the training centers around the world, the new, enhanced humans practiced for war. Kate Riley was one of the best. She had volunteered for both genetic modification and cybernetic implants when she was 18. Now at 25, she was barely human anymore. Kate could run faster than any normal person could drive a car. Her bones were stronger than steel. Her eyes could see in complete darkness. The computer in her brain let her calculate bullet paths and enemy movements instantly. She was the perfect soldier for fighting alien hunters. Again, shouted her instructor as Kate ran through the combat course. She moved like lightning, dodging laser beams and destroying targets with weapons that fired faster than the eye could follow. The course was designed to simulate fighting the Kethmori aliens. Based on the reports from the survivors, Kate finished the course in record time and walked over to her instructor. "When do you think they will come back?" she asked. "Could be tomorrow, could be 100 years from now," he replied. "But when they do come, we will be ready." All over Earth, similar scenes played out. Children learned to fight before they learned to read. Every city had underground bunkers filled with weapons and supplies. Every building was designed to become a fortress if needed. Humanity had learned that in a dangerous universe, only the strong survived. In space, Admiral Jack Harrison commanded the largest fleet Earth had ever built. His flagship, the Retribution, was 10 miles long and carried enough weapons to destroy planets. Around it, hundreds of other ships patrolled the solar system, watching for any sign of alien visitors. Admiral called his communications officer. "We are getting reports from the outer sensors. Something big is moving out there, but it is still too far away to identify." Jack had been waiting for this moment for 30 years. He was one of the children who had heard the first reports of the alien attack. He had dedicated his entire life to preparing for their return. "All ships to battle stations," Jack ordered. "Send the alert to Earth Defense Command. After 50 years, our guests may finally be coming home." Far away in deep space, Vexter's hunting ship continued its slow journey toward Earth. The Kethmori hunter was still sleeping, confident that the primitive humans would be easy prey when he arrived. His ship's computers continued to monitor human radio signals, but they only recorded the information. They did not analyze it or warn Vextar of what humanity had become. The computers recorded human news broadcasts about the enhancement programs, but they filed it away as normal technological progress. They heard reports about the new defense fleets, but they categorized it as typical military development. The Kethmori artificial intelligence was programmed to expect prey to develop. Slightly over time, it was not programmed to recognize when prey evolved into something entirely different. If Vextar had been awake, he might have noticed the changes. But he slept peacefully, dreaming of the hunt to come. In his mind, he saw the same frightened humans he had killed 50 years ago. He imagined how they would run and hide when his hunting pack arrived. He planned which trophies he would take and how he would display them in his collection. On Earth, transformation continued. Dr. Maya Singh worked in her laboratory with a new group of volunteers. These were not soldiers, but scientists and engineers who wanted to help in the coming war. "The neural interface is the key," Maya explained to her team. "If we can connect human creativity with computer processing power, we can create minds that think faster than any alien intelligence." She gestured to the volunteer lying on the operating table. "Dr. Nicole Turner has agreed to be our first test subject for the advanced neural network. If this works, she will be able to interface directly with any computer system, including alien technology." The operation took 6 hours. When it was finished, Nicole sat up and looked around with new eyes. The cybernetic implants in her brain glowed softly through her skin. She could feel the connection to every computer in the building. "How do you feel?" I asked. Nicole smiled. "It's like I can think in 10 different directions at once. Show me that alien technology we recovered from the horizon's edge." Maya brought out a small device that had been taken from the wreckage of the research ship. For 50 years, Earth's best scientists had been unable to understand how it worked. Nicole took it in her hands and closed her eyes. In seconds, her enhanced mind connected with the alien device. She could see how it was built, how it functioned, and most importantly, how to build weapons that could destroy it. "I understand it now," Nicole said, opening her eyes. "And I know how to stop them." All across the solar system, humanity prepared. For war, the space stations were armed and ready. The enhanced soldiers trained for battles they hoped would never come. The scientists worked day and night to create new weapons and defenses, but in the deepest bunkers of Earth, children still learned about the old world. They learned about the time when humans explored space for knowledge instead of survival. They learned about the peaceful ships that carried scientists instead of weapons. And they learned why that world had to end. "We are not the same species that left Earth on the horizon's edge," Director Alex Kane told a group of young officers. "We have evolved. We have adapted. We have become something that can survive in a universe full of predators." He looked out at the young faces before him. Each one had been enhanced, modified, and trained from birth to be a perfect soldier. They were humanity's answer to the alien threat. When our enemies return, they will not find the same prey they hunted before. They will find something new, something dangerous, something that hunts back. In the darkness of space, Vextar's ship continued its journey toward Earth, carrying a hunter who had no idea that his prey had evolved into something far more dangerous than he could imagine. 100 years after the destruction of the horizon's edge, Vextar's hunting ship crossed into Earth's solar system. Deep inside the massive vessel, the ancient hunter stirred from his long sleep. His yellow eyes opened slowly as the ship's computers brought him back to consciousness. Vextar stretched his 8-foot frame and walked to the command center. His black scales gleamed in the dim light, and his claws clicked against the metal floor. He had been dreaming of the hunt for decades, imagining how the humans would scatter like frightened animals when he arrived. "Report," he commanded his ship's artificial intelligence. "We have arrived at the target system," the computer replied. "Initial scans show significant technological development since our last visit. The prey species has expanded beyond their home planet." Vextar nodded. "This was expected. Most species developed some space travel before the Kethmori returned for the final hunt. It made the chase more interesting." "Show me their defenses," he ordered. The main screen lit up with images of the solar system. Vextar frowned as he saw the massive defense networks surrounding Earth. Weapon platforms floated in organized patterns around the planet. The moon bristled with military installations. Ships patrolled in formation throughout the system. "Impressive for such a young species," Vextar muttered. "But still just prey trying to hide from their betters." What Vextar did not understand was the true scale of what he was seeing. His ship's sensors detected thousands of human vessels, but they missed the millions of automated defense drones hidden throughout the asteroid belt. They saw the obvious military installations, but they could not detect the stealth platforms that tracked his every movement. On Earth, Admiral Jack Harrison stood in the command center of the Terran Defense Force. At 70 years old, he had spent his entire life preparing for this moment. The screens around him showed the alien ship moving slowly through the outer system. "All units to battle stations," Jack ordered. "Send the signal to every ship, every station, every enhanced soldier in the system. The hunters have returned." Captain Luke Anderson received the signal aboard his battleship Nemesis. Luke was one of the new generation of enhanced humans, his body modified for space combat, and his mind linked directly to his ship's computer systems. He could think and react faster than any normal human, and his ship responded to his thoughts as if it were part of his own body. "This is Captain Anderson to all ships in Battle Group 7, Luke announced. "Target acquired. Begin standard intercept pattern." 60 ships moved into formation around the Nemesis. Each one was crewed by enhanced humans and equipped with weapons developed from captured alien technology. They had trained for this battle their entire lives. Vextar watched the human ships approach on his sensors. There were many of them, but his hunting vessel had faced larger fleets before. The ship was protected by energy shields that could stop Most weapons and its own guns could destroy planets if needed. "Shall I wake the hunting pack?" asked his ship's computer. "Not yet," Vexstar replied. "Let me see what these humans have learned first." "Open a communication channel." The signal reached the human fleet instantly. Luke Anderson accepted the communication, and Vexstar's image appeared on screens throughout the human ships. The Kethmori hunter smiled, showing his razor-sharp teeth. "Greetings." "Little prey," Vexstar said in perfect English. His ship had been monitoring human transmissions for decades and had learned their language. "I am Vexstar of the Kethmori. 100 years ago, I hunted some of your kind for sport. Now I have returned to finish what I started." Luke Anderson stared at the alien hunter with cold eyes. Unlike the humans of the past, he felt no fear. His enhanced mind calculated battle strategies, while his modified body prepared for combat. "This is Captain Luke Anderson of the Terran Defense Force," Luke replied. "No, you are not welcome in this system. Turn around and leave, or we will destroy." Vexstar laughed, the sound echoing through both ships. "Destroy me? Little human, do you know what I am? I have hunted across 1,000 worlds. I've taken trophies from species that could crush your planet with their thoughts. You're nothing but animals pretending to be soldiers." "Then you have made a mistake," Luke said calmly. "We are not the same humans you hunted before. We have evolved." The communication ended, and both sides prepared for battle. Vexstar activated his ship's weapon systems, expecting to scatter the human fleet with a few well-placed shots. But when his energy beams struck the human ships, something unexpected happened. The human vessels absorbed the energy and redirected it back at his ship. Their shields, based on technology reverse-engineered from Kethmori artifacts, were specifically designed to counter alien weapons. What should have been a devastating attack became nothing more than a light show. "Possible," Vexstar snarled. "How do they have our technology?" The answer came in the form of a counterattack that surprised even the ancient hunter. The human ships fired weapons that he recognized as Kethmori designs, but improved and made more deadly. His ship's shields flickered under the assault, but the real shock came when boarding pods launched from the human vessels. Vexstar had expected the humans to fight from a distance, using their ships like the cowards he remembered. Instead, they were trying to board his hunting vessel for close combat. "Computer, analyze the boarding craft," Vexstar ordered. Unable to scan the contents, the computer replied. "The pods are shielded against our sensors." The pods attached to his ship's hull and began cutting through the armor. Vexstar smiled grimly and activated the internal defenses. His ship was filled with traps and automated weapons designed to kill any intruders. No prey had ever survived boarding a Kethmori hunting vessel, but the humans who cut their way into his ship were unlike anything Vexstar had ever seen. Sergeant Kate Riley led the boarding party, her enhanced body moving with inhuman speed through the ship's corridors. Her cybernetic implants allowed her to see through walls and detect hidden traps before they could activate. Behind her came 20 other enhanced soldiers, each one a perfect killing machine designed specifically for fighting alien hunters. Moved through the ship like ghosts, their enhanced senses guiding them around every trap and obstacle. "Multiple intruders detected," his ship's computer announced. "Internal defenses are not responding." Vexstar could not believe what he was seeing through the ship's internal cameras. The humans were not just avoiding his traps, they were turning them off. One of the human soldiers, a woman with glowing cybernetic implants, was interfacing directly with his ship's computer systems. "How are they doing this?" Vexstar roared. Dr. Nicole Turner, the enhanced scientist leading the technical team, had connected her modified brain directly to the alien ship's network. Her consciousness flowed through the Kethmori computer systems like water, understanding their function in taking control in seconds. "Ship systems compromised," the computer announced in a voice that was no longer entirely artificial. Nicole had begun rewriting its programming. Vexstar grabbed his weapons and headed for the ship's central corridor. If these evolved humans wanted a fight, he would give them one. He'd been killing for centuries and no prey had ever matched his skill and personal combat, but when he reached the main corridor, he found Kate Riley waiting for him. She stood perfectly still, her enhanced eyes tracking his every movement. Her weapons were already aimed at his chest. "You are the one who killed Commander Morrison," Kate said, her voice steady and cold. "We have been waiting a long time too. Meet you." Vexstar attacked with the speed that had made him legendary among hunters. His claws could tear through steel, and his reflexes were faster than most species could even see. But Kate Riley was no longer entirely human. She moved like lightning, dodging his attacks and striking back with precision that shocked the ancient hunter. For the first time in his long life, Vexstar found himself fighting an opponent who was faster, stronger, and smarter than he was. Kate's enhanced reflexes let her predict his moves before he made them. Her modified strength let her block attacks that should have torn her apart. The battle raged through the ship's corridors as more enhanced humans joined the fight. Vexstar's hunting pack, awakened by the alarms, found themselves facing soldiers who fought with tactics they had never seen before. The humans worked together with perfect coordination, sharing information through their cybernetic links and adapting their strategies in real time. "Retreat to the escape pods," Vexstar ordered his surviving hunters. For the first time in 1,000 years of hunting, the Kethmori were losing a battle. But when they reached the escape pod bay, they found it already occupied by human soldiers. Luke Anderson stood waiting for them, his enhanced form blocking their escape route. "Going somewhere?" Luke asked. Vexstar realized with growing horror that the humans had not just boarded his ship, they had captured it entirely. His hunting vessel, the pride of the Kethmori fleet, was now under human control. "What are you?" Vexstar demanded. Kate Riley stepped up beside Luke, her weapon trained on the alien hunter. "We are what you made us," she said. "You taught us that the universe is full of predators. So we became better predators than you." Outside the captured ship, the human fleet maintained its formation. Vexstar sat in a containment cell aboard his own ship, staring at walls that no longer obeyed his commands. The human soldiers had taken control of everything, turning his hunting vessel into their prison. His yellow eyes watched the enhanced humans move through the corridors with deadly purpose, and for the first time in his 1,000-year life, he felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Commander Chris Morgan walked into the cell, his enhanced frame filling the doorway. Chris was part of humanity's elite hunter-killer squadron, soldiers who had been modified beyond normal human limits. His cybernetic implants glowed softly beneath his skin, and his eyes held the cold intelligence of a predator studying its prey. "Name is Chris Morgan," he said, sitting across from the captured alien. "I want to talk." Vexstar remained silent, his scaled hands clenched into fists. He had been a hunter for centuries, and hunters did not speak with their prey. But these humans were not behaving like prey anymore. 100 years ago, you killed 40 people on a research ship," Chris continued. "Among them was Commander Jake Morrison. He was my great-grandfather." The alien hunter's eyes widened slightly. He remembered Morrison, a brave human who had fought well before dying. That was 4 generations ago in human terms. How could this be the same bloodline? "Humans live short lives," Vexstar said finally, his voice rough from disuse. "How can you be related to prey I killed so long ago?" Chris smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "We live longer now. Much longer. The enhancements we gave ourselves included extended lifespans. Some of our enhanced humans can live for centuries. We had time to plan for your return." Meanwhile, in another part of the ship, Dr. Nicole Turner worked at a computer terminal that had once controlled the vessel's navigation systems. Her enhanced mind interfaced directly with the alien technology, reading through decades of stored information about Kethmori hunting practices. "Admiral Harrison, you need to see this," Nicole called over the communication system. Admiral Jack Harrison appeared on the screen, his weathered face showing the strain of commanding humanity's defense. "For so many years? What have you found, Doctor?" "The Kethmori have been hunting for thousands of years," Nicole reported. "But they're not just random killers. They have a system. They mark species they consider worthy prey and return to hunt them when they think. The species has developed enough to provide a challenge." She brought up star maps, showing dozens of worlds marked with Kethmori symbols. "Look at this. They've hunted the Zephyrians, the Crystalline Collective, the void swimmers. All advanced species, all extinct now. Jack's face grew grim. How many species have they destroyed? At least 47 that I can confirm from these records. Probably more. Nicole's enhanced brain processed the information faster than any normal human could comprehend. But Admiral, that's not the worst part. According to this data, Vexstar sent a signal before we captured him. Other Kethmori hunting packs know he's here. Back in the containment cell, Chris Morgan leaned forward. "Tell me about your people," he said to Vexstar. "How many hunters are there? Where do they come from?" Vexstar laughed, the sound echoing. "Off the metal walls? You think capturing one hunting pack makes you safe? There are thousands of us scattered across the galaxy. When I fail to report, others will come to investigate. Your little world will be swarmed with hunters seeking revenge." "Good," Chris said calmly. "We're counting on it." The alien hunter stared at him in confusion. No prey species had ever wanted more predators to find them. I went against every survival instinct he understood. "You don't understand," Vexstar snarled. "One hunting pack was enough to slaughter your people before? A full fleet will turn your planet to ash." Chris stood up and walked to the cell's window, looking out at the human fleet surrounding them. 100 years ago, you killed 43 humans, and we learned from it. We evolved, we adapted, we became stronger. Now you've given us even more data about your species. When your friends arrive, we'll be ready for them too. Vice Admiral Sam Peters coordinated the pursuit from his command ship at the edge of the solar system. Sam was one of the new generation of strategic minds. His enhanced brain is capable of processing information and planning battles on a scale that would have been impossible for normal humans. "Report from all sectors," Sam ordered. "Reports. Alien probe ships detected near Jupiter," came the first response. "They appear to be scanning our defenses. Sector 12 has identified what looks like a Kethmori scout vessel hiding in the asteroid belt," came another report. Sam nodded. The aliens were probing their defenses, trying to understand what they were facing. But the humans had learned to play this game too. "Begin Operation Mousehole," Sam commanded. "Let them see what we want them to see." Throughout the solar system, human forces began what appeared to be a retreat. Ships pulled back from their positions, weapon platforms powered down, and defense stations went silent. To any observer, it would look like the humans were abandoning their outer defenses in panic. But the retreat was carefully planned. Every ship that pulled back was replaced by 3 stealth vessels, and every powered-down platform was surrounded by hidden drones. The humans were not retreating. They were setting a trap. Aboard the captured hunting ship, Dr. Nicole Turner made another discovery. Deep in the ship's memory banks, she found something that changed everything. "The Kethmori aren't the top of the food chain," she announced to the command staff. "There's something else out there, something that even they fear." She brought up images from the ship's deepest files. The pictures showed creatures that made the Kethmori look small, beings of energy and darkness that could destroy entire star systems. "They call them the Devourers," Nicole continued. "According to these files, the Kethmori hunt other species, not just for sport, but to find new weapons and abilities to use against the Devourers. They're looking for prey that might evolve into allies." This revelation changed everything. Chris Morgan returned to Vexstar's cell with new questions. "Tell me about the Devourers," Chris demanded. Vexstar's scaled face showed genuine surprise. "How do you know that name?" "We know a lot of things now," Chris replied. "Your ship's computers were very helpful once we convinced them to cooperate. What I want to know is why you really hunt other species." For the first time, Vexstar looked uncertain. "The Devourers are ancient enemies of all life," he said slowly. "They consume entire galaxies, leaving nothing but darkness behind. The Kethmori hunt to find species that might be strong enough to fight them. And if we're not strong enough," Chris asked, "then we kill you before the Devourers find you," Vexstar said simply. "Better to die as prey than be consumed by the darkness." Chris felt a chill run down his enhanced spine. "How long do we have?" "The Devourers move slowly between galaxies," Vexstar replied. "But they will reach this galaxy within 1,000 years, maybe less." Meanwhile, the Kethmori probe ships had completed their scan of the solar system's outer defenses. What they saw convinced them that the humans were weak and frightened. The alien fleet began moving toward Earth, confident that they could avenge their captured comrade. Admiral Harrison watched their approach on his command screens. "All units hold position," he ordered. "Let them come deeper into the system." The Kethmori fleet was impressive, consisting of 12 hunting ships, each capable of destroying fleets. But as they moved past Jupiter, they triggered the first phase of the human trap. Hidden weapon platforms activated around them, firing missiles that had been waiting in cold space for hours. The Kethmori ships deflected most of the attacks with their energy shields, but the missiles were not meant to destroy them. They were meant to mark them. "Target acquisition complete," reported Captain Luke Anderson from his position near Mars. "All enemy ships are painted with tracking nanobots." The nanobots were a human innovation, microscopic machines that attached to alien hulls and transmitted location data. No matter where the Kethmori ships went, the humans would be able to track them. "Begin Phase 2, Admiral Harrison commanded. Human ships appeared from hiding places throughout the asteroid belt, surrounding the alien fleet from all directions. But these were not the same ships the Kethmori had seen retreating earlier. These vessels were larger, more heavily armed, and crewed by enhanced humans, whose reaction times were measured in milliseconds. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Kethmori had ever experienced. The humans fought with tactics that seemed impossible, coordinating attacks across vast distances with perfect timing. Their ships moved in patterns that no normal crew could execute, performing maneuvers that would have killed unenhanced pilots. But the most shocking thing was how the humans adapted during the fight itself. Every weapon the Kethmori used was analyzed and countered within minutes. Every tactic was met with an immediate response. It was as if the entire human fleet shared a single mind. In truth, that was exactly what was happening. Enhanced humans were linked through their cybernetic implants, sharing information and coordinating strategies faster than any individual could think. They had evolved beyond individual combat into something like a hive mind of warriors. One by one, the Kethmori hunting ships were disabled and captured. Their crews were taken prisoner, their technology studied and understood. The captured Kethmori fleet hung in space around Earth like broken toys. 12 hunting ships that had once terrorized entire star systems now served as prizes for humanity's scientists to study. Inside the largest vessel, Vexstar sat across from Fleet Admiral Tony Clark in what had once been the alien's own command center. Tony was humanity's supreme military commander, a man whose enhanced mind could process battle information from across the entire solar system simultaneously. His cybernetic implants glowed softly as he reviewed data from the captured ships, learning secrets that the Kethmori had guarded for thousands of years. "Your people have been hunting for a very long time," Tony said, not looking up from his data tablet. 47 species extinct, hundreds of worlds left empty, all because you thought you were the strongest things in the galaxy. Vexstar shifted uncomfortably in his restraints. The metal bonds were made from his own ship's armor, turned against him by human engineers who understood alien technology better than its creators. "We hunted to find strong allies," Vexstar protested. "The Devourers are coming. Every species needs to be tested to see if they can help fight the darkness." Tony finally looked up, his enhanced eyes studying the alien hunter with cold calculation. "And if they fail your test, then they die quickly instead of being consumed slowly," Vexstar replied. "It is mercy." "No," said a new voice from the doorway. "It is fear." Dr. Rachel Kim entered the room, her modified brain interfacing wirelessly with the ship's systems. Rachel was the chief architect of humanity's evolution, the woman who had designed the programs that transformed an entire species. Her neural implants allowed her to think at speeds that made normal human conversations seem like watching grass grow. "We studied your genetic patterns," Rachel continued, walking over to stand beside Tony. "The Kethmori were once prey themselves, weren't they? You were hunted by something else? Something that drove you to become hunters?" Vexstar's yellow eyes widened in shock. No species had ever uncovered that secret. The Kethmori had buried their origin story beneath millions of years, Of conquest and pride, devourers, Rachel said, reading his expression correctly. They found your world first. But instead of fighting them, you learned to hunt other species and feed them to the darkness. You became their servants. We survived, Vexstar snarled. That is what matters. But you never really escaped, Tony observed. You just became another kind of prey. Prey that hunts for its masters. The truth hung in the air between them like a poison cloud. The mighty Kethmori terror of the galaxy were nothing more than slaves who had forgotten their chains. Colonel Dan Foster appeared on the communication screen, his enhanced features sharp and alert. Dan was humanity's primary negotiator, modified. Not just for combat, but for understanding alien psychology. His brain could process emotional patterns and predict behavior with computer-like accuracy. Admiral Clark, we have a situation developing, Don reported. Long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures moving toward this galaxy. The Devourers are ahead of schedule. Tony's expression darkened. How long do we have? Years, maybe less, Dan replied. They're moving faster than the Kethmori records indicated. Vexstar laughed bitterly. 50 years? No. You think you can prepare for the Devourers in 50 years? Civilizations that have existed for millions of years could not stop them. Rachel turned to the captured hunter with something that might have been pity in her enhanced eyes. Those civilizations were like you. They tried to face the Devourers as individual species, competing and fighting each other even as the darkness approached. She gestured to the screens around them, which showed images of Earth and the surrounding space. But Earth was no longer alone. Ships from dozens of different species filled the solar system, all bearing the same symbol, a circle of stars representing the new Galactic Defense Alliance. We did something different, Rachel explained. Instead of hunting other species, we found them and offered them what you never did. A choice. Join us willingly, or face the Devourers alone. Vexstar stared at the images in disbelief. Humans had done in 100 years what the Kethmori claimed was impossible. They had united multiple species under a single banner, creating an alliance based on cooperation instead of conquest. Impossible, Vexstar whispered. Species don't work together. They compete, they fight, they destroy each other. Old species do. Tony agreed. But we evolved beyond that. We learned that individual strength means nothing if the entire galaxy falls to darkness. The screens changed to show battle reports from across the galaxy. Human ships fought alongside alien vessels against Devourer scout forces that had arrived early. The combined fleets used tactics that no single species could have developed, blending human adaptability with alien technology and wisdom. The Zephyrians brought us their energy manipulation technology, Rachel continued, pointing to ships that seemed to be made of pure light. The Crystalline Collective shared their knowledge of quantum mechanics. The Void Swimmers taught us how to travel between dimensions. And what did humans bring to this alliance? Vexstar asked. Hope, Dan Foster said, his image still on the communication screen. We brought the idea that evolution doesn't have to end, that any species can become more than what it was born to be. Tony stood up and walked to the large window that looked out into space. Beyond the captured Kethmori ships, he could see the greatest fleet ever assembled. Thousands of vessels from hundreds of different worlds, all working together to prepare for the ultimate battle. We're offering you the same choice we offered everyone else, Tony said, without turning around. Your people can join the alliance and help us fight the Devourers, or you can continue being their servants and face us as enemies when the darkness comes. Vexstar was quiet for a long time, his mind struggling with concepts that went against everything he had believed for centuries. Finally, he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. What happens to hunters in your alliance? Rachel smiled, and for the first time, it was warm instead of cold. They become protectors. The same skills that made you good at hunting prey make you good at hunting predators. We have a place for everyone who chooses to evolve, even for someone who killed. Your people? Tony finally turned from the window, especially for someone like that. You understand the cost of being weak. That makes you valuable in teaching others how to be strong. The communication system activated, and Admiral Harrison's voice filled the room. All senior staff to the main conference room. We have new intelligence. About Devourer movements.
Ellis.
Tony looked at Vexstar one last time. The choice is yours, but decide quickly.
Ellie.
The galaxy doesn't have time for old grudges. An hour later, the largest gathering of intelligent species in galactic history convened in the Alliance's new command center. Representatives from over 200 different worlds sat together, sharing information and coordinating strategies. At the center of it all, humans served as mediators and coordinators, their enhanced minds capable of processing input from dozens of different species simultaneously. Vexstar entered the room, escorted by Dan Foster. His restraints removed, but energy dampeners still active. He looked around at the assembled beings and saw something he had never witnessed before. Former enemies working together, predator and prey species sitting side by side, all focused on a common goal. The Devourers will arrive in 3 years, announced Admiral Harrison, his voice carried to every ship in the fleet. They're bringing a force larger than anything we've ever detected. Millions of ships, each one capable of consuming entire solar systems. Murmurs of fear rippled through the assembly, but they were quickly replaced by determined discussion. Species that had never met before began sharing defensive technologies. Former enemies offered their fleets to protect each other's worlds. We estimate they'll need to consume approximately 60% of this galaxy to fuel their journey too. The next one, Harrison continued, unless we stop them here. An alien delegate with crystalline features raised a glowing appendage. What makes you think we can succeed where others have failed? Harrison gestured to the assembly around them. Because we're not trying to survive as individual species anymore. We've evolved into something the Devourers have never faced, a unified galaxy that fights as one organism. Vexstar found himself speaking before he realized it. The Devourers feed on division and fear. It turns species against each other, making them easier to consume. But if there is no division to exploit, then they face something they can't understand, Dan Foster finished. A galaxy that chooses cooperation over conquest. The meeting continued for hours as battle plans were made and resources allocated. Vexstar watched in amazement as species that should have been natural enemies worked together to solve problems that had seemed impossible. When the assembly finally ended, Tony Clark approached the former hunter. Have you made your decision? Vexstar looked around at the departing delegates, each one returning to their fleet to prepare for humanity's war. For the first time in his long life, he saw a future that didn't involve hunting or being hunted. Was wrong about evolution? Vexstar said quietly. I thought it meant becoming a better predator. But you've shown me something else. Evolution means becoming something that doesn't need to hunt at all.